look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. I don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Oh, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, right now it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper-Leitch. You are listening to the live broadcast of Time for Hemp all around the world on Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, and, of course, iHeartRadio and at timeforhemp.com. Big thank you to KDK Distributors for being nice enough to give us a grant to keep us loud, proud, and strong. And I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors who have made it a point to stay on board with us year after year so that all of our guests can be heard from Germany to Australia to Canada to England to Chile. We are heard all around the world, and it's quite amazing. I want to remind you, too, that we are a group of people, a team of people. It used to be when you came to timeforhemp.com, you only found my show, and to hear more, you had to go to American Freedom Radio, and American Freedom Radio is no more around, and Time for Hemp is growing into 25 hosts, giving you over 45 hours a week of original content about the need to end prohibition. That ends my shameless self-promotion. Thank you very much for allowing me to do that. On the program today, Paul Stanford is the joint host. He'll be joining us here in just a couple of minutes. And we have as our joint guest, and don't forget, anytime you hear the word joint on the big broadcast, nearly 2.5 million people all around the world pack their bongs, their pipes, their vaporizers, and take time for hemp. On the program today is Hernan Campos. He is the founder and the curator of a groovy website I would encourage you all to check out called True Hemp Clothing International, THCINT.com. And they have information and clothing there, and I'll let him tell you all about that. Good morning, Hernan.
Good morning, Casper.
And why don't you let people know about your clothing first? You got a line of clothing. Is it for men? Is it for women? Is it tailor-made or what?
Okay, well, the clothing, the intention is really everyone, from maybe even baby clothing at some point will do. I also have thought of even things for pets. But really, the intention is for everyone, all types of clothing, all types of different styles. Right now, hemp is very difficult to get, the actual fabrics. At least we don't have any American fiber and fabrics. So I've been holding off for 100% American grown. We've done little as far as hemp clothing and a lot as far as clothing. So it's just kind of a little bit of a waiting game. We're getting very close now. We're months away from being able to do a really big push. And the primary focus, to answer what you were saying, we do a lot of custom pieces. Really, the main intention with True Hemp Clothing is for a client to come to our design shop, meet with us, sit down and talk about the particular piece they want, and have that piece made for them. They would get fitted for that piece. The part of it is I want to make very high quality, very elegant clothing, but also hemp is very personal. It's something that, like I said many times, it doesn't wear out, it wears in. So like a leather glove, it's something that really molds to you and you want to have for a long time. So our clothing are very personal. It's not just a shirt or a dress. It's your dress that you're going to have for a long time.
Well, I understand that. I've had a combination hemp and cotton shirt that I bought when I worked for Jack Hare. And I know Paul Stanford understands that. And Paul Stanford has hemp paper and probably would be very interested in hemp clothing that might be tailor-made from him. Huh, Paul? Paul? I think he's Paul. Are you there? Paul, now can we hear you?
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people will be excited about that in any event. It's not for everybody. Not everybody can just fly down and do that, but that's something we definitely want to do. Once things are really rolling, of course I'm going to make more really affordable lines for everyone, but I never want to be a Walmart item.
Oh, you're going to hear the phone go now. It was my mistake that Paul wasn't on.
Thank you for taking time for help. That is not a valid PIN. Please re-enter your PIN code now, followed by the pound sign. There are 1 callers already on the conference. At any time, press *4 for conference instructions.
Paul, are you there now?
I am here now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that you were already connected to the show. My bad. We have on the program today from True Hemp Clothing International, the founder and curator of it, and he's been working very diligently while making great clothing. Hernan Campos, and he was talking about how he makes his clothes tailor-made because clothing made out of hemp is very personal. It kind of comforts down to your own personal style of movement. And I just said, I bet you Paul Stanford would enjoy having clothing made out of hemp, and I expected you to say hello. So good morning.
Hello. Nice to virtually meet you, Hernan Campos.
Good morning, Paul.
How long have you been doing hemp? Is it Hemp Traders? Is that the name of your business or your nonprofit?
No, True Hemp Clothing International.
Okay.
Miami.
When did you first start doing that?
Well, the actual company opened about 2.5 years ago, February of 2012. Clothing, years. Most of my life.
I understand. Tell me more. Tell me more about your company, please.
Sure. Well, I think my company confuses people. One, our moniker, our logo, who we are is clothing. People go to the site and they expect to see all this hemp clothing, but they don't understand. There's not hemp fabric in the United States, guys. Yes, I can get it from China, but I don't want to make Chinese clothing. I want to make American-grown hemp clothing. I do in the future want to have fabrics from everywhere. I want Italian fabric and Russian fabric and wherever, Indian. I want to be a textile company that has a lot of options. There's beautiful fabrics from everywhere and beautiful hemp from everywhere. But the first line I wanted to launch, it really was important to me that it's 100% hemp and that it's American. So I've been holding out. So it's kind of a challenge because I want to do so many things and people expect that. And that's really kind of the last thing they see on my site is I have so many other things. I have a music artist, an actress, writers, patients, the history, just everything about hemp, and several different products, guitars, energy drinks, beautiful ropes, amazing bags. So sometimes I think people get a little bit confused because they're expecting one thing, and as soon as they come to my site, it's very different. And my site is also specifically not like every other site. You don't see a bunch of banners and ads on my homepage. You don't see all these calls to action. I try to open our world of art. Something I call my site is a living art gallery because everything's very organic. The people, the content, even the clothing are very organic. So I try to give that feel. Another way I really describe my corporation, my family, everything I do is we're a hemp quilt. And all the people, products that are on that quilt are my hemp patches. So in other words, they're sewn on. They're not an original part. They're like an extension, but they're also, because they're stitched on, they're permanent. And that's how I like to kind of look at it. They're all family. I don't really have business partners. I have family members. So we're something pretty unique. I have very good relationships with all the partners and artists and everybody that I work with. And again, I know that it can get a little confusing sometimes because people come with that preconceived thought of what it is, and really, I try to give everyone a hemp world. When you go to the homepage, it says, "Put on the hemp glasses. Come see my hemp world." That was what I always wanted. Is I wanted to open my world of people, art, talent, vision, all the things that I've been fortunate to experience and gain knowledge on. I wanted to show the world. I've always been, for whatever reason, talented people are drawn to me. Whether it's athletes, actors, musicians, people that paint, whatever. I have people that somehow find me all my life, and we interact, and I always wanted to put them in one basket and say, "Hey, world, look at these amazing people that are unknown, that aren't getting help, that aren't super showsy, but they're super talented, and they just need a little bit of help."
Well, that's definitely a blessing, Herman. So, are you selling hemp clothing now?
Specifically hemp clothing today, no. Because again, I'm waiting on fabrics. I could be doing blends. I could be importing it, but
do you have any progress? Are there anything in development when it comes to American fabrics that you might be offering anytime soon?
Yes, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. Myself and my lead designer, we're anxiously waiting. We know what we want to make. Our clothing's a bit different. It's going to be adjustable and multifunction. It's also going to be very custom. So we're very anxious and very ready. We have a lot of things planned. In fact, I'm going to have to pull some patents because some of the things I'm doing with clothing are going to be very unique. It's just a matter of the fabric. It really is just that. I need someone to put the fabric in my hands. I'm praying on...
So are you using a foreign-made fabric in lieu of designing for now, and you're expecting American fabric later? Or
No.
I don't know if you know it, but if you go to the Great Book of Hemp, written by Richard Rowan, on page 3 and 4, it will say that my companies here in Portland, were the first companies to import and market both hemp fabrics, fiber, and hemp paper in the United States, starting back in 1989, a long time ago, 25 years.
No, yeah, and
Lonely Hearts Club Band.
I know quite a few people that have done quite a bit of different hemp things, but I'm really holding off for American-grown hemp. It's important to me. I just know that if I took cut any corner from what I originally said, 100% American-made, then no matter what I make, people are going to say, "Oh, but that's Chinese hemp," or "This is, it's blended," or so. I really wanted to stick to my guns, and I know everybody's waiting, and it's tough. But believe me, if you guys want hemp clothing, how do you think I feel? I'm just, But I made myself and everyone a promise of what I'm going to do, and I'm holding out. When in the future, like I said, I don't know if you were on the phone at that moment, I would like to have fabrics from everywhere. I like you go to a high-end carpet or rug store, you would have a Persian rug.
Sure, and you go to you get fabrics.
Yeah.
So I get fabrics from all over.
I do want to give people those options. Maybe a client will come in and say, "Oh, wow, I really like this Indian fiber. This is nice." Okay, well, we'll make your dress out of that, or maybe a combination of that and something else.
I was in a similar position with my hemp paper company. I started with hemp paper. We made a hemp blend. Then I found there were other interesting non-wood papers made around the world. An Italian bagasse paper made from sugar beet waste and other non-wood fiber papers. So I offered those for a while. Then I spent too much on my offices and payroll and not enough on inventory. So I went out of business in 97 after being in business for 8 years doing that.
Right.
But one door opens, another closes.
Absolutely.
And helping medical marijuana patients, which is very rewarding spiritually, to be able to help these people.
Absolutely, it is.
Hey, I can even pay my bills.
Now, you said that when people come to your website, they're always confused because they're expecting to find hemp clothing.
Right.
Well, I would think that because it's called True Hemp Clothing
Of course, and I totally understand that. I didn't. I could have made a different name, or I could have gone under a different guise and built it up, maybe expanded it to clothing later. But I always knew it was going to be a clothing company. I always knew what I wanted to do. So from the day one, I wanted to establish it that way. I mean, that's my true intention, is to be a leading clothing company in the world. Never mind United States. I want to change the clothing industry. Period. So. That's what it is. I mean, I didn't want to later expand it or change it or anything. I wanted everyone to know day one, I'm putting my hemp flag into the ground, and we're going to do 100% hemp clothing. We'll see what happens in the future, but that's really the intention. And I always, there's two things. I wanted to, one, keep my word so that when I do launch, I launch correctly, and I feel like I did it the way I wanted to do it. That's important to me. Later, whatever changes we make, fine. But also, second, I know we're close. I've been studying hemp for so long, and I see what's going on, and I knew 2.5 years ago that, man, we're getting close to having American hemp. And look, right now, we're maybe 6 months away. I'm going to get my hands on some American fiber. So, I can't predict the future, but I could smell it. I could see it. I knew it was coming. The time is coming for it, and it's hemp of all things. It's not even the MMJ. So, I had that vision. It was all very clear to me of what I wanted to do and need to do. So I didn't hold back or have any qualms about it. I came straight out and made my statement, and that's what I've been holding to, It's a clothing company primarily. We do a lot of things. First and foremost, always clothing.
You've listed yourself as a non-profit?
No. I don't know where you're seeing that, but the non-profit part is...
I remember asking you, since you were coming on board and you were interested in our network, had you consider advertising on our network? And you said no, you were a non-profit and there was no money there to advertise with.
Oh, okay. Well, technically, True Hemp Clothing is a normal corporation. It's not that it's a nonprofit. Probably when I was filling out the form, the reason is because Hemp for Kids is a nonprofit. So, and Hemp for Kids is something that I founded and is an extension of True Hemp Clothing. I don't want to say extension because I try to keep them separate, but because I have the THCINT site, it only made sense to, for at least now, have the Hemp for Kids home be there. They have their own page there. So maybe it was just the confusion in how I filled it out. For what it's worth, no, we don't profit a whole lot because, one, I don't have the clothing. Everybody assumes clothing. So I have a lot of other wonderful things, but people don't really look at them, I guess, because they're thinking clothing. Two, everybody talks about, I want hemp, I love hemp. But guess what? There's not many people buying hemp. It's very ironic. They say how much they love the ropes and the shirts and all this. Nobody's out there buying hemp. I'm not saying that nobody sells any, but Dr. Bronner maybe does pretty well. There's not many of us that are doing too well. So it's not to say we're doing terrible, and every day we're getting more and more exposure. The snowball is getting bigger, and we're all getting more excitement and interest. But I don't know any hemp clothing company out here that is really killing it. It doesn't exist. It's people. Society isn't up to date. Hasn't caught up to understand. Just yesterday, I was showing one of my hemp bags, and this friend on Facebook says, "Well, it's a little pricey." Well, $90 is not the cheapest thing in the world. But any woman would run out here just because it says Chanel on it and spend $300 on a bag that's made out of plastic and metal buckles, and it's not even that great of a bag. It just has a name. Whereas I'm offering a hemp bag that right now I can hand it to you and say, see you in 30 years or maybe 50. And if anything ever comes unstitched, rips, torn, and it won't, I'll replace it for free or I'll repair it for free. So people don't really understand the scope of what hemp is, how really nice it is, how strong it is. If they understood the fabric, they would be saying, well, how much would you like for that bag? They wouldn't even think of saying it's pricey. And if someone can make that comment, it just shows me people are really kind of clueless as to what hemp fabric is. They don't realize the elegance and the strength of that fabric. It's difficult. It's very difficult. I'm in Florida. I'm working with hemp fabrics. I mean, I have everything against me over here, guys. But again, I just got to be patient. Got to keep fighting. Eventually, people are going to get it.
Well, I'll tell you what is pricey is running this network, and in order to make it happen, we have to stop and pay our bills. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to listen to a song about how fantastic marijuana is, and then we're going to come back and take a whole lot more Time for Hemp. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
I don't know about you, but when I cultivate my clones, I want to give each and every one the best chance to grow into a mature, healthy plant. But after a few cloning cycles, I experienced decreased root density, slimy stems, or even worse, no roots at all. Growers know that reusing cloning collars results in failed clones. And cleaning cloning collars between grow cycles requires extra work and decreases root density. That's why I use PermaClone. PermaClone collars have been engineered to prevent failed clones by providing heat-sterilizable collars which fit easy clone, turbo clone, or power cloner systems. PermaClone collars can be dry heat sterilized, pressure cooked, or autoclaved to completely kill all bacteria and fungi without harsh chemicals. Start cloning with confidence today and visit us at permaclone.com. Put in the code T for hemp with your order and receive a 10% discount on your purchase.
Indigrow is your source for affordable induction grow lighting. First discovered in 1891 by Nikola Tesla, Indigrow lights deliver 11 years of electronic sunlight to your plants. Indigrow lamps require less than half the power of traditional HID lamps. Converting to Indigrow lights means you'll cut down on your power bill with less lighting. Indigrow lamps also use 5 times less mercury than traditional fluorescent or HID lamps, making Indigrow not only energy efficient but environmentally friendly as well. No more switching out lamps between vegetative and flowering stages. As nature intended, your lights get a steady dose of UV light. That makes your plants grow healthier and stronger. Indigrow products are manufactured in San Diego, California, and come with a written 10-year warranty. What Tesla knew, then growers know now, is that Indigrow lighting is the cost-effective addition to your victory garden. To learn more or order now, go to inda-grow.com. That's INDA-GRO.com, or call 877-452-2244 to answer any of your questions. These guys really know lights. Indigrow really is your sunlight in a box.
Have you ever had a problem with overcooking your cannabis oil? You probably wanted to rip your hair out when you burned off all the THC, right? I even cried one time when my brownies failed to make a good impression at the party. Well, I stopped crying when I found Magical Butter. Magical Butter is a device with a microprocessor-controlled program sequencer. It was designed by a scientist and a chemist to precisely extract the benefits of various herbs. Magical Butter easily makes botanical butter, oils, tinctures, lotions, sauces, and more. Magical Butter heats your oil and your herbs at the perfect temperature every time. Check us out at magicalbutter.com because it's magical. Okay, there's a lot of science and chemistry involved, but it sure works like magic.
Education and information. See what all the buzz is all about. It's time for hemp. It's time for hemp.
I'm on a journey. You have to find me. Free deep in the ganja field. Hear me now, yo, yo, ahoy. Yo, so me take a journey out to Green Island. Me and I bingy on the 12 tribe man. I say me heading to the hills, to the plantation. Me drink on the bunny granny, can do some meditation. Me take a journey out to Green Island. Me and I bingy on the 12 tribe man. I say me heading to the hills, to the plantation. Me drink on the bunny granny, can do some meditation. Well, grab me water boot and cutlass with me. Then me saddle up the mule and the donkey. Then me get 4 hamper, get them ready. Then whistle me face the Doberman and Rusty. Then call up me old gorilla daddy, a king and a prince, initiate a journey. Moses the first, the young warrior Nashi. See the people them a wish farewell to the two of we. While we head for the hills through the valley. Him pan the mule, me by him side pan the donkey. Me reach in the ganja field and feel we will drink some ganja tea, calm the body and feel easy. Me take a journey out to Green Island. Me and I bingy on the 12 tribe man. I say me heading to the hills, to the plantation. Me drink on the body granny, can do some meditation. Me take a journey out to Green Island. Me and I bingy on the 12 tribe man. I say me heading to the hills, to the plantation. Me drink on the body granny, can do some meditation. Me walk, me look through the green pastures. Look to me right and me left, me stare and observe the fat and beautiful buds of herbs, looking healthy, splendid, sharp and so superb. One thing me want to do, now make the smoke disperse. Me eyes them red like blood, as if them go and burst. I just the after effect, the iron I no feel hurt. Just keep on smoking and make the cali weed burn. Meditation enhance and new knowledge me earn. I am a wiser man because of new things me learn. So me take a journey out to Green Island. Me and I bingy on the 12 tribe man. I say me heading to the hills, to the plantation. Me drink on the bunny granny, can do some meditation. Me take a journey out to Green Island. Me and I bingy on the 12 tribe man. I say me heading to the hills, to the plantation. Me drink on the bunny granny, can do some meditation. After me journey through the Green Island, gorilla warrior become more of a wiser man. Many things me learn get to really understand. Why the policeman no really like ganja man. Them realize it is a 2 centuries old tradition. Them now want it for serve as the enhancing substance. Give me people little drugs to destroy me nation. Heroin, the crack, the coke and the speed. And the drugs me never see but them exist for real. Them invade, interrogate and destroy me ganja field. But all them a try, the gorilla still stand strong. I hell know that me journey through the Green Island. So me take a journey out to Green Island. Me and I bingy on the 12 tribe man. I say me heading to the hills, to the plantation. Me drink on the bunny granny, can do some meditation. Well, listen to me here now. Give it a fine, but I tell you, this is one plant I adore, you know. Meditation, the enhancer. Free the eye mind, you know. I can connect with nature.
You are listening to Time for Hemp live all around the world at timeforhemp.com, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and of course, timeforhemp.com. We are the only pro-cannabis network on iHeartRadio. Please share us with your friends and let everybody around the world know how important it is to take Time for Hemp. I can only forgive you for not getting out into the community and helping to educate the people around you about the need to end prohibition for one thing and one thing only. I know we're in a war, but our soldiers have to have recreation. So if you're in the war on drugs, loosen up. Those of you in the foxholes, you get 1 hour a week off from the war on drugs to watch America's Got Talent, if you like. If you're not going to do that, then stay busy fighting the war on drugs. No free time for you. Well, yeah, I like the show. There's a 9-year-old genius that was on this week that skipped about 5 or 10 different classes. Going to be going to college here pretty soon, and was like Bach or Beethoven on the keyboard. And then there was a couple of other great acts you need to check out. Anyway, that's not my show to promote, but I'm hooked. What can I say, Hernan? I'm hooked. I'm hooked with America's Got Talent. Give me a break.
Real soon, America's going to have a lot of hemp talent.
Well, you're stuck there in Florida, and it makes me wonder. You guys are kind of like in a bipolar state. You got a state that said, well, we're going to outlaw the pipes and the rolling papers, but then it sounds like from listening to you talk that you're almost on the verge of making medical marijuana a reality. So I don't understand what's going on there at your voting booth.
Well, maybe to clarify what I was saying is, yeah, there's some opposition, and there's boneheads here that think they're going to stop the inevitable. But the people, and that's just like what I was telling you with the bowl pipe thing, so everybody knows, here in Florida, a few months ago, they decided they're going to ban all paraphernalia, bowls, pipes, bongs, whatever. That lasted about a month, and everybody in Florida said, you guys are crazy. It got overturned right away, and that was the end of that. So, yeah, there's always going to be opposition. There are people trying to fight it. There's a new movement called No On 2. They made a very humorous video, which actually strengthened our cause. As far as the people, it's very obvious that everybody here wants it. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. That's what you hear in just conversations around you. People are kind of speaking in terms of, I can't wait when, not if. Nothing's guaranteed, but I can tell you that the vibe, the air, you can smell it here. We need it. It's the pill state. There's a lot of kids that need it. And we're not the most liberal state, but we're a very liberal state. So there's no reason it wouldn't happen.
Well, I'm also thinking, look, I'm getting ready to crash into the big 6-0 in another year or so. So turning 60 scares the shit out of me. And my older brothers and sisters along the way are crashing too, and they're referred to as the baby boomers, and they really enjoyed marijuana coming through the day with Woodstock and the Beatles. And now they're getting to be old, decrepit geezers that are in desperate need of a good medication, and I would think that would also make them jump up and down and go, give me that joint.
Right. Well, and you know what? Sometimes people forget that cannabis isn't just the medicine. It isn't just the clothing. It isn't just the fuel. It's freedom. It doesn't matter if you even use it. The point is that you should have that right, not by the government or anybody else. That's Mother Nature. No one has any jurisdiction over Mother Nature. We've got a serious problem when our government is regulating water and plants and all this. We've got to really start thinking, folks, and fighting back and changing this crap.
Well, I can tell you,
it's not even an option.
Some of the problem is in the leadership. Now, we were talking earlier about hemp, and now we're talking about medical marijuana, and you're somebody who doesn't seem to mind to jump back and forth. And I'm like you. I don't care if you call a rose, you know, a yellow rose, a red rose, give it some kind of highfalutin name, a Jack Hare rose, a casper-leitch rose, a rose by any other name, right? Well, I don't care what you call this plant. You got to call it illegal first. Now, yesterday we had some guy named, I can't think of his name. He's got a company in Ireland that makes hemp creek, hemp cement, and he was on Steve Danks' show, which is on right after mine, called Hemp Works, and Steve's out of England. And I had called this guy in Ireland when I first read about his product 2 years ago, maybe 3, and I asked him if he would advertise with us, and he said no. He didn't want to be involved with anything that had marijuana leaves on it. You know, talked about smoking, whether for recreational or for medical. He only wanted to talk about the product and the product only, and refer to the plant as a product producer only. And he wanted to separate himself from all of those smokers. And I can certainly tell you Dr. Bonner is saying the same song, and so have many other people in the hemp industry. We're not going to deal with the smokers and the marijuana people because, oh my God, this plant is just so much different, and that will just confuse people. Well, what's got me confused is the damn leadership who can't figure out that no matter what you call this plant, you got to call it illegal before you call it anything else. Well,
you know, I'm ironically kind of both sides. First and foremost, it's all cannabis. We are all one family, and we need to be much more unified. If we were much more unified from the beginning, this all would have been happening a lot faster. Second, yeah, they are different. The way that I equate cannabis is dogs. Cannabis is dogs. You have a pit bull, which is marijuana, and you have the lassie dog, which is hemp. They both bark. They both have 4 legs. They both have a tail and act like a dog. they're a little bit different. A pit bull and a lassie dog don't act the same. They don't have the same, let's say, physical abilities. And I call marijuana pit bull because when it comes to cancer, it's exactly that. I mean, it just terminates. So, and then I call the hemp the lassie because it's more of a helpful plant, let's say. It has a lot of uses. They're both helpful. They're both beautiful. If you love dogs, you should love both. I think it's unrealistic for someone to be just a weed smoker and not like hemp clothing, or someone that loves hemp, hemp salad dressing and doesn't like marijuana. Now, there's probably more people that are into hemp that don't care about marijuana, as opposed to pretty much anybody that smokes is going to love hemp.
Yeah, but from my point of view, it's also like marketing maple syrup and not putting a maple leaf on the front of your product. Oh, my God, let's not do that.
Right.
They're just so horrified of being associated with it. And,
no, I think you should be proud. I mean, it is what it is.
And then again, I've also had people who say, "Well, I like to advertise on your network, but I only hear maybe one or two hemp companies, and mostly it's seed and pipes and smokers. So
right.
No, I'm not going to roll up my sleeves and write the check." And I keep thinking, well, as long as people in the hemp industry continue to have that attitude, there will only be a few people advertising on my site and in High Times and in our network and in a lot of places, and that's going to cut back on the exposure that they're looking. They love showing up at hemp expos, and they want to sell to our market, they want to sell to our audience, but by God, they don't want to support it.
Well, and that's the thing, and I think that's what distinguishes me. I'm all part of the cannabis movement.
I'm not jumping on you.
So I would think that someone is going to be faster to buy clothing from me than just a company that says, we're all straight-laced and we just make hemp clothing.
Right, now, I'm not jumping on you. If you're not part of the make sure that you don't misunderstand that.
The culture, right? How can you truly make what people want or understand? That's what I think. I don't know. You don't have to be all about marijuana, but to be kind of so separated.
Exactly.
And plus, this is the way I would look at it, okay? From my point of view, there's no one on Time for Hemp. There's no hemp companies on Time for Hemp advertising. Well, then that just opens the door for me to be the only one.
Exactly.
That's the way my mind works. Why would you complain about it? Now, if it's something, I mean, the show is called Time for Hemp, for Christ's sake. Just in Google, I mean, that's going to help your business tremendously. To be so separated, I think, is kind of silly. And I think that just shows the people that are just on it for money, as opposed to the people that really care about the plant and the medicine and the kids and the what it's going to do for the world. Because a true hempster isn't just thinking about the paycheck. He's thinking about, man, I'm going to clean up this soil. I'm going to clean up this air. I can make some food. We can have a better diet. We can do all sorts of things. We're not that square, that nearsighted. Whereas I think if all you're going to do is do it just to make a hemp product, then you're not going to really get the whole picture or really even contribute back or give back.
Exactly. And because also on both sides of the fence, Ed Rosenthal refused to come on my show when I brought it back into podcasting for the first year and a half because I wouldn't call it Time for Marijuana or Time for Medical Marijuana. And he kept saying, Casper, I'm not part of the hemp movement. That was years ago. I don't care about the hemp movement. I go, what the hell do you mean, Ed? Aren't you fighting for cannabis? Aren't you fighting for sativas? I'm fighting for medical marijuana, Casper. It's a whole different thing. And I don't want to be associated with the hemp movement anymore. So, I mean, it's on both sides of that fence. And it just
and again, I'm kind of on both sides because it is different. If you really know, if you're an expert and you really know what industrial hemp in the field looks like, and you really know what medical marijuana looks like, they are different.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we're all one family, we're all one movement, and it's all one genus of plant.
Right.
So it's kind of silly to say, well, it's different, I'm not part of that. On the contrary, that's like saying, I don't know, I'm a mechanic. All I want to deal with is the motor. Okay, well, maybe you could be a motor specialist, but you have to know about the brakes and the fuel lines and the wipers and everything else to be a true master mechanic, to have a full understanding, to be part of that industry, to be a leader.
Exactly.
It's just separated is kind of silly to me.
Exactly.
Sure, be a specialist. I'm all about hemp. Like, I can tell you a million more things about hemp than I could about marijuana, and I know marijuana well.
I think I can too from hanging out with Jack Hare and reading his book and all. But absolutely, when you get, like you said it right, when you get down to it, at the end of the day, it's illegal. There are people sitting behind bars for it. If we could grow it, we'd be making all kinds of great products, including medications and food and fiber and jobs and a strong tax base. With that said, we're going to take a commercial break. I didn't mean to get sidetracked like that. I can't remember how it happened, but I'm glad we did. When we come back here at Time for Hemp. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
Have you ever had a problem with overcooking your cannabis oil? You probably wanted to rip your hair out when you burned off all the THC, right? I even cried one time when my brownies failed to make a good impression at the party. Well, I stopped crying when I found Magical Butter. Magical Butter is a device with a microprocessor-controlled program sequencer. It was designed by a scientist and a chemist to precisely extract the benefits of various herbs. Magical Butter easily makes botanical butter, oils, tinctures, lotions, sauces, and more. Magical Butter heats your oil and your herbs at the perfect temperature every time. Check us out at magicalbutter.com because it's magical. Okay, there's a lot of science and chemistry involved, but it sure works like magic.
If you are in the Portland, Oregon area and are an OMMP card holder, then come down to Nikki's Diggity Dank Market, Portland, Oregon's first and only weekly OMMP market, presented by the Alternative Wellness Center, located at 5241 Southeast 72nd Avenue, 2 blocks south of Foster Boulevard, close to public transportation, held every Sunday 10 a.m. till 7 p.m., connecting quality vendors with patients. Nikki's Diggity Dank Market also has a weekly raffle with products from every vendor, so come down to Nikki's Diggity Dank Market and have fun while connecting with quality vendors and getting great natural medicine. If you are a vendor and want a chance to connect with OMMP patients, you can check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/Alternative Wellness Center or call 971-888-4392. Be sure to register early because space is limited. Nikki's Diggity Dank Market.
I don't know about you, but when I cultivate my clones, I want to give each and every one the best chance to grow into a mature, healthy plant. But after a few cloning cycles, I experienced decreased root density, slimy stems, or even worse, no roots at all. Growers know that reusing cloning collars results in failed clones. And cleaning cloning collars between grow cycles requires extra work and decreases root density. That's why I use PermaClone. PermaClone collars have been engineered to prevent failed clones by providing heat-sterilizable collars which fit easy clone, turbo clone, or power cloner systems. PermaClone collars can be dry heat sterilized, pressure cooked, or autoclaved to completely kill all bacteria and fungi without harsh chemicals. Start cloning with confidence today and visit us at permaclone.com. Put in the code T for Hemp with your order and receive a 10% discount on your purchase.
Headshot Canada. Based in Saskatchewan, Canada, it is shaking up the medical cannabis industry. Headshot Canada helps Canadian citizens in getting a medical marijuana license. They do this by filling out the paperwork. They also help explain your needs to your doctor and also help find the right strain for your condition. For this service, Headshot Canada charges a nominal fee of $100 and your participation in a research and development study to test the effectiveness of different cannabis strains on various medical conditions. cannabis. Owner and founding farmer Tim Selinsky wants every Canadian to know that you have the universal right to a marijuana license. Unlike Compassion Club's, Headshot Canada's goal is to get the right strain of cannabis for the ailment at a fair flat rate price for the patient, no matter the strain. Headshot Canada offers 57 strains of cannabis grown at family-owned farms in Saskatchewan, as opposed to Canadian federal government's one strain of irradiated garbage grown in a lab. Go to headshopcanada.com.
Free? Did you say free? Free hemp? Free hemp? Free hemp video and audio? Free downloads of all the top artists, all the pot artists on planet Earth. Interviews with all the people making the movement, making the hemp movement. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp.
No, don't ask me why it's illegal. I just beat my head against the wall every day and just say because it's stupid people haven't wised up. Look, Google medical marijuana, Google industrial hemp, Google prohibition, Google failed policies, and I can tell you that just in 30 minutes of checking out those few terms, you will learn more than what half the senatorial body and the congressional body of this country claims to know. Well, with that said, we are having a interesting discussion on hemp and marijuana, marijuana and hemp. You say potato, I say potato. And it was interesting. I want to thank you, Hernan, or is it Hernan, or is it Hernan, or is it Hernan?
Yeah, Hernan, but either way, it's fine. You gringos can't always pronounce it, so it's fine.
But thank you for indulging me in that conversation. I don't know how we got off into it, but really there's a lot going on there in Florida. People need to know what they can do to help and how it's changing because, again, you got the old geezers down there and you got the Bush family hanging out. It's kind of a weird mix.
Well, and you know what? It's ironic because Robert Platshorn has done an amazing job with the Silver Tour. A lot of people might not know what that is, but he basically focused on the older crowd. You know, he didn't really go. He's an activist for everybody, and he talks to everybody. But his thing was, you know, let me get the older crowd, the elderly, to understand and get behind it. So he's gotten a lot across the country. But here in Florida, we have a very strong presence of the older crowd supporting. And I have to say that's absolutely due to Robert. He's brought so much awareness and done so much with that. So bless him for that, because every piece is really important. It's one thing to have a certain amount of people, but when you have even every group, you got elderly, you got youth, we got LEAP. You know, we're winning this war from so many different angles, and every little piece is important. And whether someone says, you know, time for hemp isn't marijuana and we don't want to support, or someone doesn't buy clothing from me, or whatever the case, we all do our little part. I know I've certainly played my part in all of this. So that's what really matters at the end of the day. And yeah, sometimes people are kind of separating. Hemp and marijuana are different, but they both come from the same species of plant. They're both very direct cousins. They're both very similar. And at the end of the day, we are one movement, and it's about the freedom. You're going to go to jail for one or the other just as quickly. You're going to have the same issues just as quickly. And you also win and benefit from both of them just as quickly. So I don't know. I think it's kind of weird if you're totally separating them, at least as far as your cause goes. They are different, and I do appreciate that a little bit, because when it comes especially to manufacturing, there is a very specific thing that's industrial hemp. So I think as far as confusion or the proper products or resources coming from that plant, it is important to know the difference, but to treat them totally different I don't think is wise nor realistic. It's also part of, again, why we're in this situation, because nobody wants to unify and work together. The only time I really get bothered about it is when people go under a certain guise. And that's, for example, I'll see something said called Hemp Fest. Well, every Hemp Fest isn't this beautiful festival of hemp clothing and hemp products and hemp tea. It's how to grow medical marijuana. So that kind of thing I do have a problem with, because you're kind of going in as a guise of one thing, and really it's about opening dispensaries. So that I don't think is right. But outside of that, why not call it CannaFest? And then you can do everything.
That's good. Now, also, wasn't it because of the confusion that was stirred in the 30s that made it an out so that people couldn't grow hemp? I mean, after all, the government went running around saying, oh, we got to outlaw marijuana. It makes all these horrible problems, and, the yellow journalism and all the history of it. So the farmers said, oh, my God, yes, let's outlaw marijuana. So they voted to outlaw it. Then the following spring, they went in to put in their hemp crops. And the federal boys showed up and said, what the hell are you doing? And they said, well, putting in our hemp. They said, no, you outlawed that last year. They said, no, we didn't. We outlawed marijuana. And the federal government said, well, that was the same thing.
Right, of course. And that's part of why, again, we're in this, because of all the confusion and people not understanding the difference. So in a way, it's been a two-edged sword. In a way, we've been lumped all together, which has hurt us. But on the same token, we are kind of all lumped together. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Mother Nature. It's a plant. It's the cannabis species. And although they are different, if you know those two plants in the field, they are absolutely different. But listen, even the genetic markers, they've broken down the DNA of cannabis a while ago. I don't remember the year. But it's ironic. Hemp and marijuana are totally identical in the DNA string. The only difference is the very last molecule, which is either turns to THC or it turns predominantly to CBD. That's so ironic that they're like next to exactly the same genetically. But if you've seen the plants in the field, they look quite different. And it goes back to the dog analogy I made. Dogs both have four legs and they have tails and a snout and they bark. But at the end of the day, a poodle and a pit bull are quite different, aren't they? So, but do you fight for just poodles, or are you a dog person? That's kind of the point here. Are you just gonna, fight for hemp, or just for weed, or are you, a dog person? And I think that it only makes sense that you're a cannabis person, not just a hemp or marijuana person. By all means, during the break, I mentioned it to you. If I had to choose, or what am I leaning to, what do I really work and fight for? Well, hemp. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. But it doesn't mean I don't care about MMJ, or I'm not aware, or, it's part of our family. It's part of what it is. It's the same plant. If we liberate one, we must liberate both. We got to liberate cannabis. See, this is what's killing me. People want to now liberate a strain, Charlotte's Web. Okay. Well, we're thankful to have it because it's better than nothing. But first of all, there's other strains like Charlotte's Web. It shouldn't be the only choice. And, seriously, it's like, okay, cars are legal, but we'll make Toyotas legal. Every other car is illegal. How is that fair industry? How is that equal? How is that making sense? If you're going to have cars, well, let everybody make cars. And if you're going to have cannabis, well, then let us have cannabis and do everything with it. You can't really... Breaking it all up to me is just kind of weird.
It is.
Doesn't make sense.
We've only got a couple of minutes. I'll let people know about your hemp products and how to find your hemp website before we close up with Time for Hemp.
Absolutely. Well, we're in Miami, True Hemp Clothing International. The website and name is actually an acronym, True Hemp Clothing, THC, which is the irony of THC not being in the hemp plant. I did that on purpose. INT, International, THCINT.com. And again, we have a lot of things. I have music and art, all kinds of hemp products. Those are all exclusive to my corporation, by the way. Those products are all family members, so they're not something that you can buy in any hemp store or anywhere. They've, in a capacity, partnered with me, and we support each other, and I have exclusivity to those products. So I've created the Hemp Hub, which is very unique and exclusive hemp products from all over the world, something you're not going to see anywhere else. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm also very, very proud of the Hempology section. I like everything that I did there. There's a thing on Hemp on Wheels, all about cars and vehicles running on hemp, being made out of hemp. I also did a piece on Jack Harry. He was very much a hero and inspiration. But probably the most proudest thing I've done in all of that is the hemp history timeline. I've never seen the hemp history timeline even half the scope or scale of what I did. To be fair, I didn't research and go to all these places and dig up the artifacts, but I curated so many years of work. I have, historical data from 26,900 BC to today. So I've never seen anyone else really take the time to curate that much history in one place. It was a lot of work, but I love it, and I hope that it's valuable to everyone. You can really learn a lot from that timeline, and you'd be surprised. I have a little saying that hemp history is world history. Folks, you have no clue how intertwined the lives are and how so many major historical events have come from being related with hemp. Marijuana as well,
kidding.
But
You are not kidding.
the ships that sailed the seas that discovered all these worlds.
Well, we got to wrap it up. We are at the end of the hour, but you are not kidding.
Yeah. No worries.
There is so much history that never would have taken place. We're going to have you back as a guest. It has been a lot of fun making acquaintance with you. And,
same.
And getting to know you better. I certainly hope people make it a point to go to your website and say hello and let them know that they heard about you here on the big broadcast.
Yeah, I hope so. My site is not focused towards sales. It's towards teaching you and showing you the world of hemp. And I hope people understand and appreciate that and take advantage of it. Go look, learn about hemp, see the history, see what it is. It's quite wonderful.
Well, again, thank you. I know if Paul was on the line, Paul is busy right now taking care of business. He's got to do that sometimes. And he would let you know that tomorrow night on Ustream from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can tune in and check out Cannabis Common Sense. I am blessed to be the joint host of his broadcast, and we do like to have a lot of fun and bring a lot of news to the audience and make it so that it's easy to share with all your friends. Also go to hemp.org. It's a great place to hang out and a lovely place to get some good information. And if you're in the area of Portland, anywhere in Oregon, and you need to find yourself a doctor and get yourself a medical marijuana card, Paul's Clinic can help you make that happen. Again, go to hemp.org and find a clinic near you. Got to run. We got to go to the next program coming out of England. Steve Danks will be broadcasting, and then after that, we're going to be hanging out in Chile doing a all-Spanish version of Time for Hemp. We do that twice a week with Mike Pafari and friends and a whole lot more all around the clock. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are working to let the whole world know how important it is to take Time for Hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look and spend some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for him. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 bales of oil. No need for pesticides to poison